I like looking at how to draw books, and one of my favorite how to draw books is a book that I picked up very recently, and that actually is coming back in print, and it is Bart Sears drawing powerful heroes. I think it was originally in Wizard magazine back in the day, and Bart Sears decided that he was going to put it all in one place. I got the hardcovers, and he's reprinting them in soft covers. I think the Kickstarter's over, but I don't know if he's going to have them available later on his website or not. I probably should have covered this a bit earlier, but I've been so busy with life. I wanted to take a look at them. I have both of them, so this might be a bit of a long video. But this is one of my favorite how-to drawing books. It's kind of like if you took How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way and kind of maybe expanded upon it. While I do find How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way is one of the most useful books, and my first book that I ever picked up when it came to drawing, and it was a lifesaver, and I still use the stuff that's in there that was in that book to this day. This kind of expands upon it, and I think this is a goldmine. It's not my favorite how to draw book, but it's one of my favorite how to draw books, and it obviously specifies in superhero anatomy and drawing. I don't think there's a part on gesture, which I feel like most books kind of skip gesture. But we also get to, even if you're not into drawing or you're not interested in drawing, you get to look at some Bart Sears artwork, and Bart Sears is one of the masters, one of the best, one of my favorites. And let's take a look at it. So we go over things like how to kind of draw the figure in the most simple way possible. He goes over things like proportion. I don't like proportion because it goes out the window once you move the figure in any other way than kind of standing straight up, and you never want to do that. You want to be as dynamic as possible. I'm trying to get this light out of the way. Man, so many light problems with these videos. It's either too dark or too light. But he kind of goes over the steps of kind of how to simplify it, how you kind of add a little bit more, depth, and then of course how you get that final product there. He also shows you some interesting books that I think are all great. I'm a huge Jack Ham fan, and he has all of his books, and I think Jack Ham is, you should definitely pick up this one if you're going to pick up any book that's on this list. And you should pick up this, of course. He kind of simplifies it into cylinders, kind of shows you how you add form on top. Very useful stuff, because when you start drawing, everything looks flat. And Bart Sears is kind of trying to keep you away from making everything look flat. He wants you to make everything look something like this. You want to add some form on top of your basic forms to kind of get it. You're playing a game of illusions here. You're like a magician of the flat surface. And Bart Sears is kind of teaching you all of his magic tricks to kind of get you to that point where you can draw beautiful stuff. But, like I said, this is not the end-all be-all book. It is a great book, though. Beautiful drawings, by the way, kind of how he shows how to kind of put the form on top of that very simple form. You have that very simple form of the rib cage, and then you're just adding form on top of it. You're adding, like the the deltoid has 3 muscles. You kind of have this middle muscle and these 2 side bits here, and that's how you get the deltoid. Same thing with the tricep 3, bicep 2, Anyways, shows you how to do back anatomy, which is very, very difficult stuff to do. You can fake it if you want. Your anatomy does not need to be perfect. I think the most important thing when it comes to drawing is gesture and form. This kind of stuff is kind of just the icing on the cake, but getting an idea that you kind of have the circle there for your backbone. What's the word I'm trying to think of? God, I always forget the anatomy. But yeah, your bones in your back. I forget the term for it. That kind of lead into your deltoids. Just interesting stuff like that. I will remember the word, I guarantee it. There's a bone that goes in, that's literally in the back of your, like in your back shoulder. He teaches you things like beanbag kind of stuff, how you can turn the forms, and how you can have like one form going that way, and then you can have a form going that way. That's kind of that simple stuff that they teach you with, like when you're looking at Bridgman, he teaches you like cubes and how to twist the cubes. he's kind of showing you how to twist those cubes in kind of his own way. More of the beanbag stuff. Again, he doesn't go, or the potato sack as he calls it, he doesn't go much into gesture, which I do think is one of the things that's so important. But yeah, beautiful drawings, by the way, showing you how, you know, one of my things that I struggle with is I tend to think that things need to be way over dynamic, so I kind of push them too much. He kind of shows you, hey, you can do something a little more subtle, and it will still look really, really good. It's so hard to find that perfect level of subtle and dynamic. Beautiful head drawings, kind of shows you the proportions of the head, shows you how to draw women and the differences in how a man and a woman are different than one another. I love the blocking out that he does, very Bridgman-like. Again, he sort of shows you that, you know, you have your bicep and your tricep there. You're kind of just doing very simple circles. It sounds a lot easier and looks a lot easier than it actually is. It's quite difficult. It's going to take a lot of practice. As the thing is, like, you want to kind of try to find the book that gives you all the answers, and really the only answers you're going to find is by doing it over and over and over again and taking different things that work with one another. By the way, scapula was the word I was thinking of. As I get older, I feel like I become more senile. I'm in my 30s and I feel like I have the brain of an 80-year-old. I feel like ever since I started drawing a ton, the English language is kind of getting a bit more difficult for me because I'm so focused on trying to figure out how to be a good artist. It goes over things like 1 point, 2 point, and 3 point perspective, storytelling, how you want to kind of make things look different. You don't want to kind of show the same camera angle. Go to films, look at other comics, things like that. You'll learn how to move the camera. But it's difficult. Composition is a very difficult concept. It seems simple, but it's not. He goes over storytelling, more storytelling, how to block things out in panels, thumbnails, how to write script. I mean, it's all here if you want to become a comic book artist. How you go from thumbnails to your final piece that you want. Body language, super important stuff. Love that drawing. Spider-Man, by the way. And then a Will Eisner book for comics and sequential art. Great book. I think the Scott McCloud book is slightly better, but it's still superb. So you can't go wrong with Will Eisner. He goes over covers, how to make dynamic covers. Man, that famous Turok cover. I love that comic book. I don't know if I've covered that on the channel. I will probably in the future. I think it's drawn by Bart Sears, but I'm not entirely sure. I could have sworn it was drawn by Barry Windsor-Smith, but I think it's actually Bart Sears. Block and cube method, telling you how to kind of simplify the mannequin, how to use cubes, and how to kind of manipulate the cubes. It's all about manipulating those simple shapes. Those simple shapes that you learn: sphere, cube, cylinder, cone, pyramid. You just want to manipulate those, and sometimes it's a little bit difficult at what you're looking at, but you'll figure it out as you practice more and more. Man, just love these drawings too. Again, if you're not even into drawing and you have no interest in drawing, you just get to look at some Bart Sears stuff. Explaining perspective, super important. Perspective is a difficult topic to understand, but there are far more rules in perspective, which actually make perspective easier, because if you can figure out the rules, then you can kind of figure out perspective. Going over some Bern Hogarth stuff. Bern Hogarth, very interesting figure drawing teacher. I enjoy some Bern Hogarth. Again, showing the simple block in, adding those forms, those bumps, and then getting the final drawing there. Yeah, showing you how to put those bumps on those simple forms. Going over silhouettes, super important as well, because you want your silhouette to be clear. If the silhouette is clear, then that means that your drawing is going to look good. If it looks all weird and odd, your drawing's not going to look very good. Man, just looking at his pencil stuff is so cool. Bart Sears also has, like, he sells, like, some of his sketches and stuff for really, really good price. So if you're a big fan of his stuff, you should check out his website. Bart Sears is not paying me. Bart Sears does not know me. I'm just a huge fan of Bart Sears. Ideal female proportions. Super important stuff. Yeah. Female anatomy. Very important to learn how to draw females, because your books are probably going to have females in them. So Bart Sears kind of goes over that. I look at Bridgman and I kind of go, his female examples are not very good. So it's nice to see some artists who show off great female figures. And then we're going to take a look at part 2, which has more information in it. And like I said, he has a Kickstarter going on right now, or he did. He doesn't anymore. I don't know if you can buy it after it's no longer up. He may have like a thing where you can buy it after, I'm not sure. But he's putting these out in softcover, which I actually wish I'd waited to get the softcover, because I kind of like the softcover. You can beat up the softcover, whereas the hardcover, it's a bit more difficult to beat up. Because, I don't know, it's, you gotta hold it and all that shit. So, man, goes over the simple forms again, adding anatomy on top of it, showing you where veins and stuff like that go. Going over the legs. Legs are super difficult and annoying. You know, the only thing I will say about this book is, like, he touches on things, but doesn't delve as deep as I would like. But with a book that's like 144 pages, it's a bit difficult, so you kind of got to just practice it yourself and kind of look for other resources. There's never going to be one resource that has everything that you need. When I started drawing, man, I was like, what resources do I need? What's the best resources? He tells you things like how to put like shoulder pads on top of forms. Very important stuff if you're interested in drawing stuff like Warhammer 40k stuff like I am, or kind of sci-fi stuff, because you're always going to have, or fantasy stuff, you're always going to have those shoulder pads and those forms of bulky stuff going on, where you can contact companies. That's pretty interesting stuff. Marvel does not accept submissions. Yeah, neither does DC. So don't try to work for those two anyways. They're far better companies than those two, even though they do have some pretty good stuff. How to draw different heads. Very interesting stuff. Does he go over expression? I don't know. He may. How to find your style. Just look at the stuff that you enjoy, figure out what they're doing, figure out the proportions, figure out how they're using their form and manipulating the form, you know, stuff like that. Now he does go over expressions, different architecture, details, effects, basics of drawing, even going as simple as the basics, which you would think that would be in the beginning of the book, but it's actually in the middle of the second book of all things. How to use different perspectives, like when you're looking down on something, looking up at something, how those forms work. Super interesting stuff. Very important if you're learning to become an artist. Yeah. Anatomy 101. See how he has like different proportions for the arms, basically telling you the proportions don't actually matter. They don't. Try to get it as close as you possibly can, but once you start moving the figure, it sort of just goes out the window. And then he goes even over the different pieces of anatomy. He does not give you every single thing. Like D would be cool neck mastoid, the muscle that goes from behind the ear to the collarbone. So he's not giving you the exact number or exact names, but it's very useful stuff and how to kind of draw those forms that he's kind of showing in the previous pages. Showing you how to do like kind of that shape and how to like tighten it up and kind of put it at rest. different body types, you know, how to move the body in certain directions. Yeah. Super important stuff. Huge fan of Bart Sears. And I mean, there's gold mine of information here. I mean, you'll find something in here that's going to be useful to you and is probably going to be life-changing on your art journey for sure. It may not all be useful, but man, there's some books that I've gotten 2 pieces of information, and those pieces of information were massive to me. And it was well worth the price. I mean, an art book, occasionally you'll get a really expensive one, but most art books, you can pick up an art book for $40, $30. If you can get 2 pieces of information in there, you're good to go. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's just a really cool book, especially if you want to become a comic book artist or draw superheroes or whatever. Even if you don't want to draw superheroes, it's just, there's going to be useful information in there. Anyways, guys, thank you so much. And I will leave a link to Bart Sears' website so you can pick up, I don't know, something, and maybe he'll have the soft covers there. I will put up his Kickstarter as well. I don't know how useful it's going to be, but maybe you can buy it after the fact. I think he said something like you can buy it 30 days after it comes out, or after the campaign is over. So if you're looking for a cool Christmas present for yourself, or a Christmas present for somebody else, or just a present for somebody's birthday who's into art or even into comics, it's kind of like a mixture of How to Draw Comics in Marvel Way mixed with some information from things like Scott McCloud and Will Eisner books. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.